Now, my goal is to make sure I give you the best tools, the quickest tips, so that you can really be more effective in the next few hours, the next few weeks, even if you don't finish the course. The idea is that artificial intelligence has evolved a lot over the past 3 years. Back then, let's say 2 years ago, you had to be extremely precise. Artificial intelligence used to really not understand anything, to be honest with you. But today, it's much better. So, if you're already using AI, the goal isn't to make things more complicated. I've trained thousands of people in artificial intelligence and prompt engineering. The goal isn't to make things more complicated. 2 years ago, using AI was pretty complicated. Now, I can just give a short prompt to an artificial intelligence. It'll be able to complete the task with minimal context. So that's when we want to generate something. You should know that you shouldn't make things more complicated. It's better to generate something and have a starting point rather than thinking, I'm going to spend 20 to 30 minutes trying to craft the perfect prompt and, in the end, not get the result. And even end up frustrated, like many professionals I've mentored, in the sense that they'll think to themselves, but in the end, I spent way more time making my prompt than actually getting the result I wanted. So, the best approach, I'll be honest with you today, it's better to start with a task. And again, we'll discover the structured methods later. Right now, the goal is just to quickly explain things to you. Where's the value? It's better to start with a very basic prompt. Explain the problem, the need, or a job. I need to do a sector analysis, so I'll ask for a sector analysis and find their pain points, let's say. Let's say, for example. So, as a result, I'll get an output. The idea is that today, the best method is to see what the artificial intelligence has generated. If that's enough, great. It took you 20 seconds, 10 seconds, you got what you wanted. That's perfect. No need to add extra layers. But if you don't like it, or if it's not enough, the idea is to use what I call reinforcement by extension, or just reinforcement if you prefer. So the idea is that we'll be able to use this prompt. You can see on Gemini, I have a little pencil icon that just appeared here. I click on the pencil, and now I can tell it it needs to be in table format, comma separated, with bold on the important elements, as well as a column that tells me the sources you used. Of course. Now I can run it again. And the idea is that, in the end, instead of spending 10 to 20 minutes no matter what to get a result, and in the end we could have spent 20 seconds and had something usable, well, here we can use a method that's very iterative. And now I was able to express my need. Before, it was a bulleted list. So sure, it was interesting, but the problem was that it wasn't necessarily very readable, and it didn't really match what I wanted. If I had to share it with someone, it wouldn't have been useful at all. It wasn't sourced at all. There weren't any sources either. So actually, I stated my need. I managed to clearly express to the artificial intelligence what I needed by using a bit of prompt engineering. So we'll talk again about the format, the context, we'll go over all of that. But again, if I'm not satisfied, I can tell it, look, here you're only allowed to use sources from major companies with billions in revenue, comma, or government sources. And now I can tell it, I want you to be extremely data-driven, basing your reasoning on statistics and figures to support your argument. And at the end, I want you to suggest 5 next actions in our research plan. And here we can really go as far as possible, push it further and further. In the end, it almost becomes a habit after a while. We more or less know what we want to ask. We know our business needs. Personally, I love numbers. I love data, so I love being able to rely on figures. So here you can see that I'm really data-driven. And after a while, actually, you really start to get into the habit. And that's also going to be the goal of this course. It's not just about showing you, look how AI works. We'll do that too. But also for you to discover your business needs, your habits, and how you'll be able to express them to artificial intelligence. So if I had to do a quick recap, the idea is that today, AI understands your prompts much better. You don't always need to, absolutely always, because sometimes you do need to do a lot of prompting to get something perfect. The goal isn't to make things more complicated. The goal is to make artificial intelligence accessible to as many professionals as possible. And so for that, what I encourage you to do is just get started. Simple. If you see that the AI has done some work, but it's not enough, just go back to your prompt. Do you see the little pencil here? If I do the same thing on ChatGPT, you can see that this little pencil exists here too. So once the message is generated, the little pencil here lets you edit the prompt and simply resend it. And on Perplexity, it's exactly the same. Or you can see it right here. And here, you can edit your prompt. It's really a universal concept, being able to edit your prompt. The goal is really to start with something simple and then keep iterating, keep trying to explain to the AI what works and what doesn't. There's also one last little method that I really like. When asking the AI, you shouldn't hesitate. Once you get a result, say so. What are the next 5 or 10 actions you recommend to me? So, as you can see, I go straight to integrating it into the prompt itself, but I ask it to suggest 5 actions afterward, and I have them at the end. Then I can tell it, okay, at another time, I can just copy and paste. I could say, could you expand on that using will and give me all the practical cases, for example. Here, I type a colon, go to the next line, and give it to the AI, and you'll see why I'm making this video. Afterward, I'll explain to you the basics of how to structure a prompt without prompt engineering, without making things complicated for now, but really in a very, very simple way, how you can structure a prompt and how the AI understands a prompt. But in any case, as you can see from the AI's recommendations, now I can keep pushing further.